I know this one is a lot. We are still in no evaluating algebraic expressions, no substitute for hard work. We are now in activity 1.3. This is my fun part because I just love doing math. I'm not the person that likes reading all the time, but reading, if we don't read, we can't do math. So what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate each expression, and x will be a different number. We're going to substitute. So I'm going to do A for you, and then you're going to do B, C, and D on your own. Then I'm going to complete the table. I'm going to do A for you, but then you're going to do B, C, and D. You're going to attempt D on your own. And then you're going to do number 3. You're going to evaluate these. I'm going to do A for you, and then you're going to do B, C, and D on your own. And then you are going to attempt to do number 4. I will give you extra credit if you can figure out number 4. It's just like the other ones, but they're decimals and fractions. But you got it. So let me do the A's for you. And if you do not finish this one, this is homework, because we'll probably be getting very close to the end of class. So A, x minus 7, that is our expression. But they want us to evaluate if x was negative 8. So I'm going to rewrite this. Instead of x minus 7, I'm going to put negative 8 minus 7. And that equals negative 15. Now the next one, instead of x, they want us to use negative 11 minus 7. And that equals negative 18. Then they want us to use 16 for x instead of the x and minus 7. 16 minus 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yes, I did count on my fingers because you can use the manipulatives God gave you, and that's your fingers, honey. So I just solved all those using this expression. So you would do the same thing, but this time you're, instead of using y, you're going to use negative 3. So that's negative 6 times negative 3, because the y is next to the 6. So that's multiplication and so forth. 0 times negative 6. Negative 6 times 7. You're going to substitute each one of those. This one, you're going to do the same thing. Instead of B, you're going to use these numbers and evaluate the question, and same thing here. Now let's look at the table. We're doing the same thing. Just this time they just put it in a table. They just showing you different ways that you can organize your information. So this time, my expression is negative 2h minus 7. But instead of h, because see where it says h is going to be all these numbers. So instead of h, this time I'm going to do the number 2. And I'm minus 7. So negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 minus 7 is negative 11. So I'm going to write that in the table. That's my answer. So then I'm going to do the next one. Negative 2. Instead of h, I'm going to use the negative 1 minus 7. And I always do multiplication first according to PEMDAS. It doesn't matter if that multiplication is last on the sentence or first on the sentence. You have to do multiplication first. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Then we're going to subtract 7 and get negative 5. And then my next one, so I'll put negative 5 here. See if I have some room. And if you don't, please remember, scratch paper. That's okay. Negative 2 times positive 8 minus 7. Negative 2 times 8 is negative 16 minus 7. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So that's negative 23. I'm going to put that in the table. And I think you can do the last one, but I'm going to go ahead and do it with you. 2 times negative 7 minus 7. So that's negative 14 minus 7. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So negative 21. The biggest thing here is don't forget your integer rules. So that's why I didn't test you over Unit 5, because this will test you over Unit 5. You have to remember your integer rules. If not, there's a poster up there. Or write them down on your paper if you forget what to do when you're multiplying, what to do when you're dividing, what to do when you're adding, what to do when you're subtracting. So I just didn't list my keep, change, flip, and all of that because I know it by heart. But if you don't and you don't recall, then I think you should look at your poster, take a picture of it, so that you can have it with you. All right, then the last one. So this time they gave us 3 x's or 4 x's. X is negative, x is positive 2, negative 3, 1/2, and 2 1/3. So I'm gonna evaluate each one of these. So instead of, and you're gonna use those numbers for each one of these. So my first one is x equals 2. So this is negative 3 times 2, which is negative 6. My next one, negative 3 times negative 3. 3 times 3 is 9. A negative times a negative equals a positive. So I'm gonna leave it at positive 9. 1/2 or 0.5, negative 3 times 0.5. For me, I would prefer to do this in a fraction. It's just easier. But all that multiplying times a half is just saying what's half of 3, which is why I prefer to do it in a fraction. So I'm just going to change that 0.5 to 1/2 because that's easier. And then I just put the 3 over 1 because multiplying fractions to me is a whole lot easier than multiplying decimals, but I'll work it out both ways and you can see it's the same answer. So 3 times 1 is 3, 1 times 2 is 2, 3 halves, I'm just gonna change it, 2 goes into 3, 1 time, and then I have 1/2 left over because that's a negative. That means my answer is a negative. Or you can multiply 0.5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. You got 1 behind the decimal, move it over once, move it over once. So negative 1.5, 1.5, negative 1.5, same thing. So I think either way is fine. And then the last one, I'm running out of room, so I'm gonna do it on my scratch paper, is negative 3 times 2 1/3. And for me, I'm gonna take that 2 1/3 and I'm gonna change it to a mixed number. And I'm gonna change this to a fraction. So I'm gonna do 3 over 1. And I'm gotta remember it's negative. And I'm multiplying. And then 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And then I keep my denominator the same. There's also a chart on how to change a mixed number to an improper fraction. So now I'm gonna multiply these across. 3 times 7 is 21. 1 times 3 is 3. A negative times a positive is still a negative. And so I have 21 over 3. Now I'm going to divide and change it back. 3 goes into 21 7 times, and I have nothing left over. So my answer is just going to be negative 7. So for this one, negative 7. All right. And make sure you write that down so I'll know. But just turn in your scratch paper with it if you need to. Or if you write small enough, cool. All right, well, you got the rest on your own. Remember, you do the same thing. 5 times 2, because x is now 2, plus 10. 5 times negative 3, plus 10. Oh, I'm so sorry you can't see it. Let me repeat that. 5 times 2, because x is 2, plus 10. And then do the next one. 5 times negative 3, because negative 3 is x, plus 10. And then so forth. The 0.5 or the 1/2, and then the 2 1/3. 2 1/3. Oh, and I made one mistake, y'all. The answer here is positive because I was not looking at the fact that the negative 2 1/3, that was negative. I didn't write that down. See how you can make a mistake. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So hopefully somebody caught that. Because I just caught my own self. All right, I can't wait to see what y'all come up with, and that is 1.3.